This is the Chapter 7, Hidden Treasure. Loneliness swept over him like a wet blanket, dampening his anger and replacing it with fear. What should he do now? He shut his eyes and shouted, "Vito power!" and waited, and waited, and waited. Nothing happened. When he opened his eyes, he was still alone. Dismally, TG turned back to the hammock. Perhaps if he snuggled up and went to sleep, he would wake up and find this had all been one long, weird dream. He plonked himself into the middle of the hammock, with his legs dangling over the edge. As he put his hand down to lever himself up into it, he heard something crackle. He jumped up, and in the bottom he spied a folded piece of old parchment, yellow-brown with crinkly edges. Carefully he lifted it out and gently unfolded it. At the top it had fancy writing. I don't know if you can see that, but there we are. Hidden treasure. Aboard Davy's ship, a secret hides. You'll find the key when you take a sea ride. D. And underneath was drawn a treasure map. If I find some treasure, my troubles will be over, thought TG as he looked carefully at the map. It was of an island surrounded by a sandy beach. There were some palm trees in a cove, a cave in some rocks, and a small lagoon just off the coast with a big ship like a galleon anchored off it. TG sat looking at the map, wondering how he could get to the island. Suddenly he heard voices coming from the tunnel. Voices he recognised. "Sky! Sage, is that you?" Jumping up, he stuffed the map into his pocket and ran to the edge of the jetty. Rhythmic splashing of oars in water accompanied the voices as they drew closer. Out of the tunnel glided a dinghy. Sitting in it, waving at him, were the Rainbow Warriors. TG was so relieved he forgot all about being angry with them. Sky stood up, smiling broadly, holding his hand out to TG. "Jump down here with us, we'll explain everything on the way." TG grabbed Sky's hand and leapt down into the boat. "I found a treasure map. It's so exciting. The clue says I'll find the key to the treasure if I take a sea ride. We're in a boat on the sea, so I can find the key." Sky didn't seem impressed and looked seriously at him. "Later, TG. Right now, you're on the last part of your mission. We need to debrief you before you start." "Debrief me? I'm not James Bond, you know," TG muttered, but Sky didn't look amused. "And anyway, what's the point of in going on?" TG carried on. "I've failed already. The Crystal Lady has almost disappeared." "Do you always give up so easily, TG?" asked Sunray. "No," snapped TG, "but I've tried 3 times now, and each time I've managed to muck it up and let you all down. I can't do it." "Well, we believe you can," said Sky. "Now, do you have any questions before I explain the next task?" "Yes, what did I do wrong at Billy's? Why did the fight start?" burst out TG. "You know most of the answers to that already, TG," replied Saffron. "Now think. What is the main thing you have to do on this mission?" Screwing up his face into what he hoped was a thinking expression, TG tilted his head and looked up towards the roof of the tunnel as if the answer might be written there. Then, just as if the light had come on in his head, he remembered. "I know. Make good choices. But I don't know why I made the wrong ones at Billy's. Was it because I burped?" asked TG, feeling a bit ashamed. His mum would have killed him if she'd been there to see him. "Partly," grinned Sage, "but there are a few other bad choices you made too. Can you remember anything your mum told you?" "She told me loads of things," replied TG, looking at his hands guiltily. "Anything you can think of that might help you understand what happened with Billy?" "What was it that made you burp?" urged Sunray. "Oh," said TG, "fizzy drinks. Mum says they make me lose my temper, but that's just daft. Loads of kids drink fizzy drinks and they don't all lose their tempers." "That's very true," interrupted Saffron. But you do drink a lot of them, and don't you ever wonder how some drinks have such bright colours? It isn't natural, you know. Isn't it? Said TG, surprised. No, it isn't. They have to put all sorts of artificial colours into them to get them to be so bright. Scarlett turned to TG. Did you notice how you started to feel agitated as soon as you had a couple of those drinks at Billy's? TG nodded. My ears started to tingle. You see, said Scarlett, some children's tempers seem to be made worse by the additives and colourings in foods and drinks. You are one of those children. The rest of the Burt gang were affected as well, and that's why the fight broke out. The gang like the feeling. That's why they keep on doing it. How silly, remarked TG. Well done, TG, you're learning, clapped Saffron. So, continued Sky, what do you think you have learnt on your mission so far? TG gave it some thought. Then he put out his hand and tapped his right index finger onto his left. Well, number 1, I now understand that eating lots of sugar isn't good for me, and that most people really love it, but we have to realise that too much of it makes us fat and could give us diabetes or something. Diabetes, corrected Sky. That's right. Tapping his middle finger, TG continued. 2. I can see now that lots of fast foods are full of all the wrong fats, that eating quickly gives you tummy ache, and that nuts, seeds and oily fish have good fats in them that will make me more brainy. I like that idea, he grinned. All the warriors were nodding encouragingly. 3. Drinks that have really bright colours may have added chemicals that can